But Sherry, let me ask you, coming in as what this category is guest acting, coming into a series where you are dealing with the established series regulars and things, and then sort of walking into it, is that any different than any other kind of acting job, or is it a very kind of unique thing you have to adjust to?
Well, I mean, it's daunting with this group because I, saw that first season and was dazzled. But I got to march into battle with all of the Pierces. There were 8 of us, and there were 8 of the Roys. So we sort of came in, onto this battlefield together, and we had the best time because there were 8 of them and there were 8 of us. So 16 at table, and we all, so many of us knew each other before. I went to college with Holly Hunter. I'd worked with J. Smith Cameron before, and known many of my cousins, the Pierces, Marklyn Baker and Jeremy Seamus, and it was because we came in as a team. It was a little easier than just coming in solo. For Harriet, I'm so fascinated to know what it was like to suddenly go, I'm these children's mother, and I was married to that man. It must have been unbelievable.
Exactly.
And forgive me for doing your job, Pete.
I love it.
I just want to know very quickly, how far into the season were you called from the very beginning of season 1 to be the mom?
I was sent the pilot, which was already completed, episode 1, and they hadn't shot anything yet of the rest of it. That's when I was brought in. And so I was stepping into the unknown in terms of they hadn't written my scripts yet because they were further on. They were in episode 9 and 10. So I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I had a vague idea from Jessie that I was going to go around asking everyone how long they gave the marriage, and that was kind of it. and apart from that, I watched I got to know them. It was a big advantage to see that episode 1 because I knew I got a hunch about the style. And I've worked with Brian and I've worked with Matthew. I knew the Brits. So and also but I walked in like you've seen this amazing cast, but I hadn't seen the show from 2 till 8. I'd only seen the pilot and they'd already shot up to my entrance in episode 9. So they'd really bonded and fused. And then I stepped in to, how do you do? This is your mother, and that was as scary as it can sound. But I had the advantage of season 1. We shot the big wedding scene over 2 episodes, and we were staying all together on location for 3 weeks. So you really got to know everyone. The whole cast was there because it was the wedding. So you got to know everybody. And that means that when I only had a few two-handers come season 2, I did know my children a little bit by then.
James, let me ask you how you came into this cast and that statistic that I posed at the beginning, where I talk about 9 of the actors in this cast have been nominated for Emmys, and of course across the board in different awards. Is there something about this particular show that strikes an actor as really, really great material and something they want to be part of?
The writing. Yeah, the writing is exceptional. I had just done a play about Rupert Murdoch in Australia, which he was not very pleased with. And then, of course, the comparison between the two I thought was very accurate. I knew Brian most, I can say, socially. I hadn't worked with Brian. And the character fascinated me because he's the only character that is totally at odds with the family, with the personalities, with their political positions, with their morality or lack thereof, and which I really enjoy. I like being the outsider, and I really was the outsider. I disliked everybody practically. So it was a
I love that. Your character also, you in real life are a real activist, and to be congratulated for that and caring about this world too. And you have a moral center, which I can't say that about many of or any of these characters on this show, as you sort of mentioned there.
No.
You're walking into that.
Yeah. And the reason for the moral center was quite interesting because, of course, he grew up with the same sort of privileges and a disconnect that people of great wealth and power have, if it follows the Murdoch example. Only I went to Vietnam and fought in Vietnam. So what I saw in Vietnam transformed him. And he probably still has a residual PTSD. He certainly understands its ramifications. He certainly understands the support for the Vietnam War coming from the organization that the family represents and works for, and that it's a lie and always has been. So I felt very strongly, and I impressed this on Jeremy in no uncertain, and Jesse in no uncertain terms, that I did not want to compromise. I didn't want him to be the guy. So I'd never take 5,000, $1 million. Oh, well, I never liked those kind of transitions. And so I said, he's going to stick to his guns, and they let me.
Talk about getting this kind of opportunity and these kind of scripts and able to work with that week in and week out.
It's really fantastic. Like, this is some of the best writing I've ever had to work with. And it really, it's funny because you asked like earlier, like how much of it is improvised. I don't really know anymore. I feel like mostly nothing, but it's like, I saw Snook, you said in an interview that it's like, we don't really change anything in terms of story or whatever. Like everything that's on, like we do everything that's on the page, but it said that there's like an insult or something else, or like, you know, we can sort of, there's freedom there, or, you know, like an action or something. Like, I think I just slapped you in the first season, Snook. We just did that. That wasn't on the page, but that was like, but it was part of the scene still.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like the freedom to like play a guy that can just like slap his sister in the face and have that not be such a thing. Like, I don't know.
Well, because you know that there's going to be someone coming for you afterwards that you know.
I was pretty sure you were going to just whoop my ass. Actually, I was going to just slap you, I remember, but I thought, you know what, I don't know you.
Yeah.
Ask for it.
Yeah. But we were looking at the pretend version first. You're like, no, I'm not going to slap you. You're pretending too well.
I have to ask you, Sarah and Matthew. Matthew, you're obviously English. You're obviously Australian. You're playing Americans. I think it's the first time you played American, Matthew. I
played an American on stage. Maybe 10 years ago. No, more. Yeah, but it's the second time.
So working together and getting those accents right, is there any kind of trick to that, or is that an odd kind of feeling to do that?
Well, I've said this, but we have kind of accent days when Sarah and I, especially if we have a day together, that we just have a kind of mutual meltdown.
Yeah.
And we end up talking a bit like that, like we can't do it anymore. And it just goes really badly wrong. We had a very bad one in our apartment. You just forget how to do it because it's quite hard to do.
Because there's also the thing of where there is improv, or where you can just sort of like stretch the words of the scene a bit, where you can add something in there or there. You then have to filter. Don't think in an Australian accent. Think in an American accent.
Yeah, like it's one thing doing the lines you've learned in an accent, but then improvising, especially in the pilot, was really frightening.
Yeah,
for me, because Adam McKay was very like, okay, let's talk about, the stock exchange or the new Audi, or something, and I would go, I don't know how to say this,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard. I find it hard.
I've always been so impressed with you guys because not only are the accent's great, but it's that thing. It's just like seeing banter and going, how are you doing this?
But it's not coming from any accent like this. What's your Australian version of my accent, Kieran?
Oh yeah, so it's spot on. It's Sarah Snook for me succession.
Amazing. That's amazing.
I'm
That's
like amazing at that.
Album. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are Americans that transparent, so it's easier to do?
No, they're professionals. They know what they're doing.
I go very high in the accent. I start talking quite.
Oh yeah.
Honey.
Yeah. I start doing, if I'm not thinking about it, I start doing more like vocal fry. Like I do like a lot of vocal fry, a lot of
That's like a safe zone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole thing for some American women. But we grew up in Australia. We grew up with American TV, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, Nicholas, Cousin Greg's a breakout hit on the show. People love you. I remember my wife, when she started watching the show, even before I did, kept talking about you, became obsessed with you. And she, oh my God, Cousin.
Why?
I don't know. She kept talking with all of her friends. Oh my God, did you see what Cousin Greg did? Cousin Greg is deceptive, isn't he? He's going to turn out to be the guy who runs the whole show when this whole thing ends. That's what my prediction is.
Wow.
We'll see. He's making good moves. I think he's getting smarter.
Yeah.
He's getting a little more cunning. He's learning a bit from Tom, a bit from Kendall. He doesn't quite have the barbs that Roman has. He's not really mean like that yet, but we'll see if he kind of grows into that. But yeah, he's gaining momentum, I think.
I was talking today to somebody about Greg, and the more you can make a big argument for Greg having quite a strong moral core. Like you're always you're not happy at ATN. You're always trying to do the right thing.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I think
it's
so.
not. It's a bit of a flimsy argument, but there is I think they think they're doing their very best.
He comes into the family pretty uncorrupted.
Yeah,
he comes in like he's ambitious and he's like kind of forceful with himself, but he's decent. He's a good person. Yeah, he's kind of Bambi. But then, he also like lies a little bit. What's that?
The scene where you get the new apartment and you do the leak thing. It's like he's actually being Bambi now. He's
doing. Yeah. That's me doing some animal work on set, little deer work.
That was a gazelle. Yeah,
gazelle, deer, kind of blend.
Yeah. Now I have both of you together, and that's what I've been waiting for, to congratulate both of you on being nominated for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series here at the Emmys. And that's quite great. Brian, you won the Golden Globe. Jeremy, you won the Critics' Choice Award, and now you're at the Emmys, and there is a father-son dynamic in the show. A sort of competition. So I know you're going to get this question, but here you are in real life. How does it feel?
I mean, it feels great. I think we've both put so much of ourselves into this, and everyone involved in the show is so completely committed. So it's wonderful to feel acknowledged for that. And I'm so honored to be alongside this man and yeah.
No, absolutely. I totally second what Jeremy says. I mean, it's a great cast. It's a great ensemble, and it's amazing that we picked up 18 noms, and particularly exciting that so many of our actors picked up nominations as well. The guests for best supporting, best both in the female and the male category. So it's a great honor, and it's an equally great honor that we're both together. I think that's fantastic. I think that's a great thing, and that's a great thing for the show. And the show at the end of the day is the thing. The awards are always lovely. There's no denying it, but the show has been an amazing. I think Jeremy will agree. It's been an amazing experience just to be part of a really great community ensemble in every aspect, the technical side, the writers, the directors, the crew. I mean, wonderful crew.
Yeah. I mean, this clip that you showed, Pete, I don't know if you showed it with Brian as well.
No, we showed it with you, but it was the one where you said to him, "You're not a killer. You're not."
That scene. It sort of exemplifies a lot about the show, I think, and the way I think we were losing light, and I think we have this incredible camera department that is very agile and fluid.
Second to none.
Yeah, and we, Brian and I got a chance to, sometimes I try and fight for, kind of just putting ourselves out on thin ice and not rehearsing, and we sort of just found the scene, discovered the scene on the vine, as it were, and it felt dangerous and like a live wire, and that's because of Brian and the writing, but it was, this scene is one of those scenes where you just collide with each other.
And it's great because also the other thing that which is absolutely what Jeremy says, but the other thing too is the fact that, we've created such cinematic trust with one another in terms of everybody in their place and everybody doing what they do and doing what they do incredibly well. So when you have that background, when you have that support, that we've got this amazing thing, and Succession is a truly amazing thing. So in that way, we feel we're in a very, very good position. And we can be dangerous, and we can take risks and do things on the takes, that's come off,
Something that I, watching that scene back and thinking for the past few minutes about it, Jesse Armstrong and the writers, they did something similar at the end of the first season, which is a kind of road to Damascus moment of a dramatic change of attitude or belief for both of us. We both, there was this sort of the bear hug letter and then a bear hug at the end of season 1. And at the end of this season, there is this way where we each clock each other differently, and there's a dramatic transformation of how we perceive each other.
That's right.
Father-son nemesis.
Absolutely, and of course that is fantastic because we can spring off that for the third season. That will be part of the engine that will actually make the third season go. And and that's the great thing. That's what we get from the camaraderie of one another, the working camaraderie of one another. It's a very unique experience in that way.
And speaking of the third season, I can end this by saying, tell me everything that happens. Start.
We can't. We'd have to kill you. We'd have to kill you. That's what we told you.
And I know Logan could do that. But it's how's it going? Have you been able to? You haven't started it yet, I know, because of the pandemic.
No, we haven't started. There's been a lot of. I have to say that HBO are being exceptional. We even have our own medical team now. We actually have a team of really who are doing great advice on the medical side, and there have been so many kind of variables, protocols that we've had to absorb. And that's the process that our great producer, Scott Ferguson's been involved in over these last months, including our wonderful first assistant, Crystal Morris, and Pat Capone as well. I mean, everybody's been involved creating this dynamic whereby we present and we do our show. And, we will do our show, and I think we will do it before the end of the year. I think that, there's a possibility. I won't quote me on this, but there's a possibility we could go in November. But we'll go when it's right. We'll go when it's safe. We'll go when everything's in its place. And that's what the crew have been doing and are doing even as we speak. And it's really exciting that that's happening, So, and it's going to be in a very interesting kind of, it's going to affect us in a very extraordinary way, I'm sure.
Well, and I think I feel excited for it, and I love and respect the people we work with, and I love and respect Brian, and that's why I'm ready to go to war with him.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
Well, we can't wait till it happens. Meanwhile, the story of Succession is to be continued at the Emmys, and we can't wait to see season 3 as well. I want to thank Brian Cox and Jeremy Strong and all of the supporting actors and the guest actors who we talked to here today on the Deadline Virtual House. And thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.